So we get asked all the time, how can you produce content for me in my industry when you're not necessarily an expert in my industry? It's a fair question, and it speaks specifically to how content has been produced, I'd say up until now, right? So up until now, you probably had two choices to produce content, call it three. The first is to produce the content in-house, which I'm almost going to dismiss as a non-option, because the people who actually have the thought leadership and the knowledge sitting in their heads are not the same people who have the time, resources, and skills to produce content. This isn't something that your Marcom staff can simply do for you, because the subject matter expertise probably sits in the executive team, sales and product management, and client-facing roles. It leaves you with two choices. One, you can pay a lot of money to have an industry analyst who knows this stuff cold, maybe knows it better than you, and has either the skills themselves or a team to produce content and write themselves. And you can produce great research papers and articles and thought leadership topics that what you're really paying for is their industry expertise and maybe even brand cachet, right? The other option is to hire somebody who knows how to write. It's not terribly expensive to hire a copywriter who is very good with the English language, but then you're going to pay that person a lot of money and to spend a lot of time with that person educating them on your business and on your industry. So keep in mind, when you pay for, say, a low hourly rate to hire a copywriter, you're probably not paying all that much for actual heads down writing time. You're probably going to pay weeks, if not months, worth of consulting time for that person to get up to speed, to be qualified before they can begin writing, right? This is where a content strategist comes in and a good content development process comes in, right? And this is exactly what Sales Engine does. So a good content strategist knows how to interview you to identify not the specifics of your product and what the widget does and what it doesn't do, because not only do we not care about that right now, your prospect, the early stage buyer, doesn't care about that yet. There's going to be a time when you're going to be able to talk about those widgets and what they don't do and don't do to that prospect. But an early stage buyer, they're trying to solve business problems. And so whether you interrupted them with a phone call or an email, or whether they found you through organic search or through social media, an early stage buyer is interested in solving their high probability pains. So our job is to identify what are the high probability pains that your prospects care about, identify those topics, and then by having phone interviews and asking questions in a video interview and using that as the source material to then outline a topic and then sit with a client and say, okay, here's the high probability pain. Here's what I just heard you tell me in the video topic. Here's what we discussed in our messaging workshops. Is this what I'm going to write about? Fill in the blanks with some internet research, and now that person can speak from the perspective of your prospect. Once we have them on the hook, now we are talking about the high probability pains. Your prospect says, they get me. They understand my pains. They understand my problems. I'm interested in this company. Now they start consuming more content. Now is the time for the transition for that professionally trained business-to-business sales rep to step in and have the real diagnosis conversation.